Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is AJ Osborne. AJ has built a real estate portfolio worth over $100 million today and owns and operates several diverse companies, including an insurance brokerage, physical product, e-commerce software, and his self-storage businesses. He specializes in developing, converting, and turning around underperforming facilities with a value-add strategy and loves to show other entrepreneurs and investors how to focus on technology and self-storage automation. AJ provided a great show today. It's so neat to hear where people come from and how they make it as an entrepreneur, especially in real estate. And he has an amazing story, just how he was in sales. He wanted to get off that roller coaster. He was even fired from a position that really helped him launch into becoming an entrepreneur. And so he goes through talking about self-auditing yourself and just figuring out what's working and what is not, and just the importance of that. And it's just incredible, some of the things he talks about, how he automates things, how you hire right, and so you can get it off your plate, right? And just empowering people on your team in building the systems to produce the results you're looking for. He goes in great detail that's going to help you operate better and to scale faster. AJ, welcome to the show. I know you have an amazing story background. I'd love for you to share what you're willing about that and how you got into real estate or just that time of your life. I think that's going to motivate many of the listeners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate coming on here. So I guess we could kind of start, a lot of people, when we talk or get to know me, I say real estate or financial freedom saved my financial life because I started investing. So I had a sales job, right? So it was all based on commissions and everything. So I'm like, I got to get off this roller coaster of clients and money and everything. So I started investing in cash flowing assets that I could focus on operations, which we could talk about that, why I wanted to focus on certain asset class that I did, which is self-storage. And this was a long time ago. Well, I started doing that. I was working my job, running my job. And then I became fully paralyzed. I was hooked to tubes from head to toe. And I was fired in the hospital. We didn't know if I was ever even going to leave. We didn't have a time frame or outcome. So after a few months in the hospital, my employer let me go, which I guess they had to. We didn't know if I would ever even leave. So, but because of my investments in these cash flowing assets, I didn't lose my house. My kids were fine. My wife was taken care of, and we could focus on for the next few years on me learning how to walk again. I had to do occupational therapy, eat, speak, all of that. And it allowed us the freedom to do that without, we didn't go into foreclosure. We didn't sell homes, our home. We didn't, kids didn't, miss out on anything. My wife could take care of me and the kids, and we could do that. So I'm very passionate about particularly real estate, but financial freedom in general because of my past and what it's done for me.
That's incredible. I was just thinking, as you're talking about that, I'm just thinking, okay, wow, because you made probably some different decisions than maybe your friends or other people made, in investing, right? You were thinking
Yes.
Investing, you're thinking long-term, and wow, that paid off in such big ways when it mattered the most. Right. I just, if you didn't have that, yes, maybe you lost your house, maybe, who knows, right?
Yeah.
What that would have meant for you and your family. So I'm so thankful that you did make those decisions, right? Early on. I know you're even more thankful. But wow, that's incredible. So, you're in the hospital, you're fired. What a stressful time, right? You're paralyzed and you're thinking, man, yeah, I can't even imagine what you're thinking at that point, but I'm so thankful that that's not the case now, right? And you are able to come through that, and then you're on a passion for real estate. Well, let's walk us through that a little bit, or even the mindset, like to keep going right after something massive like that happening. How did you cope with that? Whatever you're willing to share, just like helping the listener think through whatever they're going through.
And two, it's interesting because we all have, I think, these times where I want to say identity crisis, but really it's like we have to change, or we have to format who we want to be, or how that's going to end up. And in my situation, everything that I had previously known had basically ended, right? I had my family, which that didn't end, but my self-identity and my work, who I was, what I did, all of that came to an end, and that had nothing to do with me. And I know a lot of people can relate to that, whether that's, losing their job, divorce, all these kind of things that happen in our life where it's just like this sit back where you're just like, holy cow, the old me, I feel like, is gone. Now, who's the new me? What does that look like? And it really, I think it comes down to those times where we get to decide, like, either this is going to become me, I'm going to be this victim, I'm going to be this guy in a wheelchair, right? Or I'm going to be something else. And for me, it was definitely the other way. And I came out of it probably a little more obsessed and everything than I had ever been before. And it lit a fire under me. And I think it was the huge benefit was focus. It's like, man, I should have stopped working at my job a long time ago. I should have been focusing on these things. I should have focused on scale. I should have focused on all of this. And then there was just like this absolute lack and sympathy for BS. It was like, okay, I'm going to survive. I'm going to live again, whether that's in my wheelchair, no matter what that looks like. I have no more time to put up with anything. And I need to do what I want to. I need to make a difference, and I need to make something out of my life because it could be gone at any second. And my life as I know it, I need to be grateful for these things that I have because they can just be taken away from you. So that lit a huge fire underneath me. And I was really lucky. I know other people that had similar instances, and instead it goes the other way, and they end up just wasting away. They become the problem. They become the impediment to themselves or their lives, mental, whatever that is. And that terrified me, that would become me. So, and I think my circumstance helped with that. I think I was a super hard worker, obsessed with that. And I'd had a good background and everything, but it really just comes down to your choice. It was like, one of those times where you're on top of the world and then you're flattened out of nowhere. Like, it's like, you don't think you could be any better. You don't think, life could be any better. And then it goes from that to just sheer nothing. You can't do anything, literally, in my case, nothing. You're hooked to tubes, like it's over. And that happened in the matter, we're talking like literally the people in my office didn't even know what happened. It was like one day I was here, the next day I was just gone. That's how fast it happened. And when it comes down to that mental shift that takes place, it's like I can, either fight through this and I can become who I want to be, or this becomes me. And that was a clear decision for me. I have kids. I did not, it was hard to watch them see this man who they just thought was a giant, could do anything, be left to nothing, can't do anything even on his own. And I was like, hey, I have a chance to change this. But to it, realized that chance to change my life, change who I wanted to be, that's very limited. It's extraordinarily limited. And the opportunity for all of us to make that change can be just taken away in an instant. So every day that goes by that we're not making those decisions, that we're not changing, that we're not becoming who we want to be, is, it's a tragedy.
What a powerful story. Now, I appreciate your just transparency and sharing. And I just think there's so much to learn there for all of us. Just the mindset, the mental state it took to be able to push through something like that. It's not something everyone's able to do. I'm thankful you were able, and you are able to share about it now and help so many others. Because with that kind of mindset, it could have been probably any kind of business. You would have probably taken off. But specifically in real estate, because of the investments you had made, you're like, man, this makes a ton of sense, right? And
it shows me and that's the thing, whether you're going through, once again, a divorce, a death, whether it's a loss of a job or whatnot, it's that time to sit back and say, okay, let's look at this whole situation. Let's find out what's working, what's not. Get rid of everything that's not working. just get rid of it, and then go all in on what is. And that's how it was, right? I'm like, all right, my W-2, the sales job stuff, like it's this short-term stuff that is like, well, I want this for things that have to do with right now, but they don't stack, they don't scale. It's not going to get me to where I want to be in the future, right? That stuff needed to be gone. And I need to take that away immediately. And we can all do that at any time. We can all do a self-audit, which I do every few months. I sit down and I audit my day. I audit myself. What am I doing that doesn't produce results? What am I doing that doesn't make me who I want to be? And that's how I approach my business, right? We audit what is working and what is not. If it's not working, get rid of it. If it's not getting us to our end goal and we need to be measuring that and looking at it, it needs to go away. And so it's not like a principle that we take in business this is uniform across the board. This is with your children, with your spouse. This is with your business, your relationships, with your health. This is with all of those things. You need to take audit and you need to be impatient and you need to be aggressive about getting rid of what's not working. And that is the fundamental principles to scale. That really is. And when you talk about investing capital, time, effort into things that produce long-term good results, that is in every single business. I own multiple businesses, all multi-million-dollar businesses now. And all of those things come down to that very simple core thing. You do today what benefits tomorrow, and you do something that can be repeatable, process-oriented, and that can scale, and they can do everything, right? And once you start doing that, everything is not only compounded, it's exaggerated. It's using leverage in your life to get the results that you want. And when you see people and they're like so far in the future, right? And you're like, well, I'd love to be like that, but I just don't see how to bridge that gap. Like, how could they produce such astronomical good results in marriage and life and kids and health and everything else like that? But I can't seem to do it. Well, it's not those big things. It's those little things that they're focusing on that is just leveraging the future. And you're just seeing them in the future, right? And so it's like, those are the things that need to be audited and need to be taken care of today. And when I looked at business, I needed a scaling capability. I needed revenue to be produced. I needed my effort that went into producing that revenue to be one time, as in I needed to be able to put effort into it to produce it. That revenue had to keep coming, whether my effort was correlated with it or not, because that created a stacking. That means I could repeat and create a repeatable system. And that's what I loved about real estate. I could do it. It would still pay me. I could use that money to do it again, and it could stack. Then from there, I needed to build the systems, which would allow me to do that internal hiring, process, technology, right? And I have a very simple rule. When I look at auditing, I either hire, I automate, or I get rid of. Those are my three rules. And everything needs to be done. It needs to either be hired out, it needs to be automated, or we need to get rid of it. And the reason being is you can't do everything yourself. Everything in life, you just can't do yourself. Like I cannot raise good. I have 4 kids. I cannot raise 4 good kids by myself. I need great people in my life. I need good family members. It's one of the main reasons I'm involved in my church. I need an ecosystem for those children, for those support for them to get good results, because I can't do it by myself. I don't have enough time, right? Nobody does. And that is the fallacy. You don't have to be that person. You don't do everything yourself. Elon Musk doesn't do everything himself. He literally has tens of thousands of people that he leverages to do it. So you got to hire, automate, or get rid of. And apply that in your business. Apply that in your investing strategy, because you need to be working on the business, not in it. And that's how you get yourself out. That's how you get yourself to work on the things that are important, focus, and you leverage your attention and time to get the most meaningful results. And I just apply that to everything.
Incredible. Show's over right there. That's enough. No, I'm just kidding, AJ. That's such great content right there. And I want to go back a little bit because you mentioned numerous things. I've taken some notes, and it's like, man, if we could. I know, and I was often like this when I first started in real estate. I go to conferences, I'd say, no, give me the meat and potatoes. Don't hear me, don't tell me this stuff about mindset, or tell me about this stuff about your why, or, all those things early on. And it's like, man, this happened to you, and all of a sudden you had a massive why, right? You got your mind right, and moving forward and not being a victim. Are you wondering how to build trust between you and your investors? The InvestNext Portal houses everything you need to raise capital online, deliver professional reporting, process distributions, and more. When booking a demo at investnext.com, enter promo code Whitney for 15% off your first 3 months. But I loved how you talked about too, though, the self-audit every few months and like what's working and what is not. Like, let's think through. And I think that's so wise. And so I can remember, when we started in the commercial real estate business, I'd had small rentals and I was doing all kinds of stuff. It was like more than two full-time jobs for a long time. Then all of a sudden we were at the beach one fall and my wife and I were walking we were almost having a self-audit, but didn't call it that, Yeah. We were like, can we see ourselves doing this for 2 more years or 3 more? And I was like, there's no way. I can't keep this up. I'm never going to see the kids, so we did exactly that. I didn't think about it that way at the time, but man, we said, okay, this is what we can see working, which is the commercial real estate business, and all this other stuff is going to be a distraction at the moment. So we just had to cut it off completely. Right. And so it's very similar to what we did. But then, I liked how you mentioned, like, it's the small things. And you also said, though, like, you see these people who look like they have the family and the job or the business or all these things. And it's like just overnight success, everybody says, right? But you're just seeing them in the future, you said. I loved how you kind of just brought that to life a little bit. It's so true. You didn't see those last years of late nights, early mornings, all those things, which you're very familiar with.
Struggles, the tears, you don't see any of that.
So tell me a little bit about, and this is taking a totally different, path than I expected. This is really good stuff, though. I feel like because it just personally hits home with me. But I would love to, know, like, how did you, when you're getting into the real estate business, you're coming out, out of this, losing your job, you're in the hospital, you're trying to recover yourself. Tell me about how you and your wife are really together on this, right? Moving forward in this commercial real estate business or just in this venture. After all that,
when I got out of the hospital, I was in the hospital for a long time. So, and I remember it was Christmas morning, and when I'd went in when it was hot outside to the hospital, and it was Christmas morning. I'm looking outside. I live in Idaho, and it was snowing, right? And they were going to let me go home for the first time, and I was going to spend 3 hours with my kids, and I was so excited. I was so excited to get to go to my own home. I was so excited to see my kids at Christmas open up, which we didn't know that I was able to do. And the hospital was going to take me there and let me do it. And I wasn't worried about, oh man, are they not going to get Christmas presents? I lost my job. I'm not working anymore. And no prospects of working at all again, right? Like, not one of those things like, I lost my job, but it's going to be everything. Oh, no. I don't even know when I'm leaving the hospital at this point. And I wasn't worried about anything else except I wonder what my kids are going to get. They're going to be so excited. And I was like, and it was when it was then that it dawned on me, I'm like, this is powerful. Like, this is important. Other people need to know about this. Other people need to do it because of that financial freedom. And me and my wife together, we came out of it with it was like, hey, we have things that we're very passionate about, and we've got to tackle these things. And we didn't feel like it was all self-doubt, everything that never goes away. I just really stopped caring about it. And you got to understand, this is maybe TMI, everything else like that. But when I say I was fully paralyzed, I couldn't do anything on my own. I could have bathed. They rolled me over on the side of the bed to clean me. Like, it was nothing. So humility at this point was at the ultimate low. I couldn't bathe myself, like nothing. There was no going to the bathroom. There was no nothing, right? So there was nothing that embarrassed me. It was like, I was just done. And all the things that before that I was worried about, what people thought about, man, did that just not matter anymore? And now it's been like 4 years and I've been coming back all the time, stuff. And now it's funny because those things start clicking into my head and it's like, stop it. Those things don't matter. It doesn't matter what somebody stupid on social media thinks. It doesn't matter what Bob, my neighbor, thinks. And they start coming in. They start coming in and they start impeding me from like, well, I'm going to fail. It's going to suck. I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to do something that people are going to think less of me about. And I always have to fight that. And I think about it, it's only been 4 years and I'm fighting that. What's going to happen in 10 years? Am I going to forget? Am all of a sudden, are these things that don't matter going to hold me back? And for the last while, me and my wife, it was just like, we just stopped caring. So she started a school. We're done with the school system. We thought the school system had failed us and our kids. So my wife went and started a school. She's got a huge school, multiple campuses, 3 campuses, hundreds of children, where they focus on mindfulness, business, education, everything like that. I'm not even a part of that. I don't even do that. She's like, we're done with this. We're taking over. We're doing it ourselves. It was just an absolute lack of, we're not sitting around. We're not waiting for other people to do it. And I don't care. If we fail, whatever. It's like, we just got to do it, right? And I really worry that I'm losing that, right? Like, I really worry that when I'm on a podcast and I say something, it's going to be wrong, right? Or it's going to sound stupid. And I'm like, it will, and that's okay. I'm going to sound like an idiot. It's just going to happen. Why? Because I'm not perfect. And that's fine, right? It's okay. And that is a real hard mentality I'm worried about losing it. I worry about it every day, because I think that's been a huge part of why we've become the way that we've become and where we're at today, which I'm very proud of. And I love my relationship with my kids. I love what my wife's doing. I love how together we are in our passion and our ability. We started syndicating, which I'd never syndicated before. I built our whole portfolio off to the side, but I'm like, we can't do this on our own. So like, this idea of me needing to be that person to do everything, just gone. It evaporated. I'm like, oh no, geez, I can't do anything on my own. Like I can't even live on my own. Like, and then too, I'm gonna die. And if I do everything on my own, I'm gonna die on my own. And I'm like, that crap has to end. So I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to do everything on my own, but I need to do something. And I need to do the most important things. And it doesn't matter if I'm going to fail or not. And that's kind of been our MO for the last 4 years. And I really hope that I don't lose that. And I'm trying really hard not to. But, it's easy to say, but it's hard to do, because we really, really care. I'm really worried, and the better and the bigger we get, the more it's like, maybe I shouldn't say that online. Maybe I should be careful about that. Maybe I shouldn't, because we're so worried about repercussions that don't matter. And so that's been how we've been moving forward. And I'm going to try to continue, and I hope to continue, because I hope I don't need to be humbled like that again to realize it.
I appreciate your transparency, even about you and your wife, and just your all's thought process, right, of how you move forward, and ultimately, it just doesn't matter what others think majority of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like you, I tell my boys this often too. Obviously there's key people in my life that I know love us and our family, and we love them. And hey, they, somebody in our church, they come to me and say, hey, Whitney, here's a problem. Like, I'm going to be all ears, right? I know they care about me, or mentors that I have, in commercial real estate or whatever. I care about that, in a big way. But majority of the time, it's just noise, right?
Exactly. There's a difference, though, because when you're talking about not caring, what I mean is you're being humbled. That also, though, means you're being humbled to accept ridicule. It's not that I don't. It's not that I'm like, ridicule doesn't matter. No, sure. Actually, it really does. As long as it's from a valid, right source, because the idea of scaling and becoming better is accepting that I suck, right? And that's okay. Like, it's just not a problem, right? Because who I want to be is future AJ, and future AJ is awesome, but I'm not him yet, and I don't need to be, right? And I'll never be future AJ, because progress is an eternal principle that never ends. And in order to be that person, though, I have to be open to that feedback. When I do something that is dumb or bad, I need to. The only difference is I accept that I'll do it, and I accept that I can change. Those are two very different things. The person that says, I don't care about anything that anybody says, and I'm just going to do whatever. No, that's not humility. In fact, that's the opposite. That is pride. And those two things are very different. Taking feedback and internalizing from the correct sources that you are flawed and that you can change and become better, and that's okay, and that's part of the process. That is extraordinarily different than saying, I don't care what other people think, and so it doesn't matter. That's not true at all, right? And that's an important distinction to be made, and it's a hard one to balance. There's a difference between people on the internet and my investing partners, my accountants, my attorneys, my wife, and my children. Those are two different worlds, right? And when I slip up as a father, as a husband, as a business partner, I need to know, and I need to be quick to fix it. And that comes down to self-auditing, I self-audit to identify the areas that I'm not performing in the ways that I need to be. And then I need to fix it, right? It's not that I ignore it. And that's thank you, because that's a very important piece that I want to make sure is pointed out.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm grateful for the way the conversation went, just learning more about that, because I feel like that's the mindset piece, and understanding some of these things are so much more foundational, right, than most of the things we normally talk about on a podcast or about real estate or whatever. And we are running very low on time, but there's numerous other questions I would typically ask, and I would love for you to come back so we can get into how you really scaled, right?
Happy to.
Maybe you can provide, though, on the short time we have, maybe you can provide one or two things though that helped you to then scale fast, or, to move that fast. And you said 4 years, but you've got numerous multi-million-dollar businesses, and, you've got their operations in place, and you've scaled. Give us just a few tips, and that almost be a little teaser for the next show maybe as well.
100%. So people's number one. Everything happens because of people. You find deals because of people. You grow because of people. You have to trust, and you have to empower the people around you. You can't do everything yourself, but you trust and you verify. But most importantly, you build a system to produce a result, because system can be edited, and systems lay down the foundation, and processes lay down the foundation to analyze, give feedback that is appropriate and good, and make decisions based upon results, not opinions, not things. And that's how you should manage employees as well. The feedback is based upon set desired results and processes to achieve them. We're criticizing the process. We're not criticizing the person. If the person needs to be criticized, the person needs to be gotten rid of. That is very important. I hire the people to execute the process, and the process needs to change. So when I look at hiring, I hire people that I trust, that are hardworking and intelligent. I don't always hire the best person that fits the best resume, because that doesn't matter. I need to hire the person to execute the process. And so when I look at people, it's a combination of people and processes. People need to build. So I'm hiring people to build things that I don't have. That is scale. I say, this is our desired outcome. You're coming in. This is what we need to achieve. We need to fine tune a process to achieve this every time in this amount of time. And these are the results that need to be had. Let's build this process, and together let's work on critiquing it and fixing it. It's not personal. This is about finding a desired result and achieving it consistently. You can get lucky, but scale is not about luck. Scale is about a repeatable system and process. And that's where the focus needs to be.
So well said. Yes, I love that too. Scale is not about luck. It is the systems and consistently improving them. Right, your first system's not going to be that great, just to be honest. Right, but you got to be willing to lay it out there and improve it. I'm always pushing our team. Hey, make sure it's written down, and make sure after the fact we go back and look at it again and see what we did wrong. Right, or ways we could do it better than next time. No doubt about it. Well, AJ, just amazing content. Amazing, just thinking through your story. I hope it's so motivational as well for the listeners. Tell me the number one thing that's contributed to your success.
Oh, geez. Hands down, mentors. So my father, people around me, and being able to accept and change and take those feedbacks. So one thing, and you just got to realize it, because self-doubt, the reason self-doubt doesn't matter is because it's true. Okay. And people don't like to hear that. But the reason self-doubt doesn't matter is because it's true. Because you're right. You can't do everything. You can't do those things on your own. But that's fine. You don't need to be able to. Once you put that on an even playing field, everybody on an even playing field, we're all dumb, we're all people, we're just trying to get it done, right? Then just find the people that have accomplished it, learn from them, keep them close in your life, and keep trusted people that you can learn and repeat over, and then you can accomplish everything. It's not about you. It's about your ability to change. And it's about your ability to source the correct information and implement that in your life to become that person that you want to be. And I strongly, strongly believe that.
How do you like to give back?
So I'm big on, we do a lot of contribute, obviously, to wheelchairs and foundations that. I'm big on giving back to children in our church and our time. Our school that we've started, we've given our lives multiple years to it, and we've never taken anything out of it, but just given it in. So education, children are really important. And then things that I have personal experience with, that I can identify needs that need to be met. And then because I have personal experience with it, I understand the correct way to meet those needs. So obviously I have 4 kids. I was paralyzed, so children in wheelchair, chairs that meets their needs. And then I'm very involved in my church. So that's what I like to do.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that, AJ. I'm just grateful for you sharing your story. I just think it's just great, right? When you've pushed through this, you've learned so much, you've done so much now, and you can help so many others because of these experiences, and really the strength I think only the Lord could have given you, during all of that. And so just grateful for you coming on and sharing that. It's this mindset piece, like so many things you said here, resonate with me and my story. And I know it does with the listeners as well. Tell them though, how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy. So you can go Instagram, AJ Osborne, self-storage income. Everything I produce educational is all for free. So I have the best-selling book on self-storage. If you're interested in that asset class, that's on Amazon. Of course, you got to pay for that because it's a book. Other than that, Instagram, Twitter, self-storage income. We're holding a conference at the end of September, and all information is free. We don't charge for anything. We just don't do that.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.